Changing brake fluid sounds like a job that your mechanic should do, right? It's brakes, they are important, safety critical, easy to mess up. Well, not really. Today I will show you how to do that at home with just basic tools you can find in your garage. So let's have a look at it. First thing you need is to somehow cover the surroundings of the brake fluid reservoir, because the brake fluid is quite a dangerous fluid and it can damage the paint on the reservoir itself, but also on your handlebars or on the plastic you have around. So I will use just an old sock. Don't worry, it was washed before, so it's clean. And I'll just do it like this, so it stays here. Now with the screwdriver, you open the reservoir. Try to move the handlebar that way so the reservoir is leveled, so it doesn't spill out. And then carefully open it. There is this plastic cover. Watch out not to drip anything. Even a small drop can leave a stain on the bike, so you want to be really careful here. And now, when we have the reservoir open, we need to go down to the brake. Here on this front brake there is this thing called draining nipple. You undo the cover and this is the way how you will drain the brake fluid from that. Not to damage your brake caliper, you will need some hose connected to this draining nipple. It can be just this plastic one. You could just squeeze it into it and then put some bottle here, so while pumping the brake fluid will go into it. I got a little bit better tool for the job. It's called the brake bleeding set. It looks like this. You can connect it to or you will connect it to compressor, and the air going from compressor will suck out the brake fluid from the system. You don't need this tool, you can use just the simple hose. I bought it because I got more vehicles to maintain, but simple hose is just enough. The next thing to do is that you connect or squeeze the hose onto the draining nipple, and with 8mm spanner you loosen it a bit. It doesn't need much force, it's just a few Newton meters for tightening it. So you do the like quarter of a revolution. There, maybe you can already see that the brake fluid is coming down the pipe. What you will usually do if you don't have the draining tool, then you pump your brake several times, and you might probably see that the fluid is going down the pipe. You have to watch out not to drain this reservoir completely, so after a few pumps you fill it with the new brake fluid. I got the liquid moly brake fluid. It seems the best option. It was available here, but any .4 brake fluid should work. Actually, I didn't do it before, but now it's time to put gloves on, because the brake fluid is quite aggressive thing, so it's safer to have some protection. So let's pump a few times. As you can see, the brake fluid is going down the pipe, and before it reaches the bottom you want to pour new brake fluid into the reservoir. For filling the reservoir I got this bottle. It was part of the set I have, because it's easier to pour it from this than from the original canister I had, because you can easily spill it out. This one is better, but again, you don't really need it. So let's pour some new fluid. Okay, and now that you have it filled, it's again time to pump a bit with the brake. This way the new brake fluid will exchange the old one. What you want to watch is to not to have bubbles in the hose. If there are any bubbles, then there are bubbles in the system and it's bad. Usually the new brake fluid is a bit lighter than the old one. The old one gets dark when used. So when draining it, you can see in your hose when it changes color, then it means the new brake fluid is in the whole system. So you can then stop and just put the right level of fluid into the reservoir, and then that's it. Since I'm doing it sooner than I should, the original brake fluid was not that dark, so it's hard to distinguish. So I will just make a wild guess and we'll see. So after each set of pumping you should tighten the cap, put a bit more fluid into the reservoir, and before pumping you just loosen it a bit and then pump again. So again, a bit of pumping. And when you have the new brake fluid flowing through this draining pipe or draining hose, then you are done. So you just tighten the bolt just a bit. It's like 5-6 Newton meters, I think. So don't use much force, not to damage it. Actually, it might happen that you can see small bubbles in the hose, but this might be caused by air being sucked around the draining nipple. So before you go anywhere, just test the brakes if they are really hard. When using this draining set, it's easier to drain the whole system, because you just push this lever, and it by blowing the air it sucks out the brake fluid. So have a look. It just sucks the fluid itself. So it's up to you if you want to buy this thing. After you tighten the bleeding nipple, just push the brake lever several times to see if it's really hard. It shouldn't be soft. And if it works and you have enough brake fluid in the reservoir, then you can put the cap back onto it. Now you are done with the front brake. When you are done, clean the brake for any bits, brake fluid, put back the cap. And then after first test ride check, there is no new fluid appearing around. With rear brake it is just a bit more complicated, but it's mainly because of the excess. There is the draining nipple and the brake reservoir is hidden here. So what you need to do is to unbolt it and take it out, put it in the front, so you can easily put a new brake fluid into it. You need is 8mm wrench socket, and you loosen it carefully. Most challenging part is not to lose the bolt. And here is the reservoir. What I like to do is to zip tie it here so it holds and I can fill it with the brake fluid. This is actually better when you have someone who can hold it for you. But if you don't have someone to hold it, then you should zip tie it or do something so it holds straight on the place. And I will put my paper towel under that so it holds on place. Looks like it holds, so we can get inspired by my solution. And now it's time to undo the lid. It's a bit smaller than the front one. Gotta be careful not to spill it, like I almost did now. Now there is the same procedure. So cover the drain nipple, squeeze a hose onto it, and now it's time for pumping the brake. And as you can see, the brake fluid again is flowing. Before you run out, it's time to fill it up again. So while I'm pumping, you can see that it gets into the system. And again, fill it up. Pumping again. You do this several times. When you are done, you finally tighten the bolt. Press the brake lever several times. Again, should be hard, not soft. Level up the brake fluid in the tank or in the reservoir. Looks good. Maybe a bit more. When you are done, you just put back the cover. Screw it back. It's plastic, so not overdo it. Cut the zip tie. And let's put the reservoir back on its place. Okay, so it's in there. Brake is fine. Again, clean it around. Try to clean every drop that can be there, so you can then check if it's not bleeding anywhere. Put the cap back on. And you are done. Now it's time for a test ride. And really slow one. Before you really check the brakes, you need to go really slowly. So, what do you think? Are you also able to do stuff like this? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy this content, hit like, consider subscribing to my channel, because I will definitely do more videos like this in the future. So see you!